Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Top of the morning, top of the morning. Happy Monday. What's good? What's good, man? We are back with Getting in the Green with Perfect Strangers. I am your host, Daryl Rice. I got my partner with me once again, Corey, on a Monday. What's good with you, brother? How you been?
Good, man. Good weekend of sports here, man. It was an exciting one.
Yeah, let's talk about sports for a quick second here. Couple highlights, as we always try to do, and that is kind of look at some things that's happened throughout the league, in all aspects of sports. Uh, over the weekend, we did have, first and foremost, we'll talk about the upset in the UFC. Amanda Nunes loses, which is absolutely crazy to me. Now, I know you are the UFC guy. What'd you think about not only that fight, but a lot of the other fights that had happened throughout the night?
Yeah, I mean, she got starched, man. There's nothing really to say about it. You enter at a minus 1,000, and she just wasn't mentally there. You could see it in her eyes. You haven't seen that look in her face in a long time. And when she didn't put Pena away in the first, it got real sketchy. So,
Yeah.
yeah, man. Obviously didn't help the DFS for the day because it was loaded up on Nunez there, but didn't bet the fight because the odds were just the juice just wasn't there for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, overall though, what a great card, man. I mean, we really got to see Charles Oliveira is just that guy. Like that's
Yeah.
a dangerous man.
What did uh what did you think about a lot of the other fights here, prelims? Are you seeing any new up and comers or
Yeah, I was real impressed with Erin Blanchfield, man. She's I think 22 years old.
mm-hmm.
She absolutely dominated Miranda Maverick. She's the real deal, man. She's going to be a problem in that division. She looked good, and then the card wasn't really full of prospects. We had a lot of seasoned veterans on that card, but everyone kind of staked their claim. I think Kai Kara France made a statement with that knockout at Cody Garbrandt. Yeah, it's just one of those. You get those pay-per-view cards, man, and people just moving up the rankings with their wins. So there was
Yeah.
a couple real good fights though.
Yeah. So we'll move back over to the NBA because that's what we're here for, NBA. Yeah, that upset was, as far as Dustin Poirier, I kind of felt that Oliveira fight was definitely going to be all in Oliveira's hands. So I wasn't too surprised by the win there. But yes, absolutely, Amanda Nunes losing her title was definitely the shock. If you were a favorite betting man in the NBA this weekend, you made a lot of money. Favorites definitely hit. And we saw a couple of games that I was really interested in, but primarily I'm looking at this Steph Curry. I'm on Steph Curry watch. Steph Curry
Whole
is,
world's on Steph Curry watch at this
yeah,
point.
yeah. And obviously, Doc Rivers got the memo. If you watched that game over the weekend, you saw the defense that was being played on Steph because he was not breaking that record at all. So, what did you think about still all these what we call superfluous amounts of shots to try to beat this record? What do you think about him shooting in Philly?
You know, I just don't have a problem with it. Yeah, they lost the game, but I mean, if you just even look at his game log, I mean, that's just what he was shooting for a long like go all the way back to December 3rd, 11 threes, 17 threes, 13 threes, 17 threes, 14 threes. That's just Steph Curry. And I know there's just like this, you know, target on him right now and all
Right.
eyes are on him, so it's just a little more emphasized that he's shooting 17 threes a game, but I mean, also look at how that roster is constructed right now. Who else is going to shoot? Nobody wants to shoot. They're good shooters when they get hit. Jordan Poole
Yeah.
and guys Draymond, but yeah, Steph Curry in that offense without Klay Thompson shoot the ball 17 times. Yeah, he went 3 for 17, so there's a little asterisk on it, and they lose the game to Philly. But
Yeah.
we're also talking about a team that's like 21-5. He's been doing the same thing all season. I don't have a problem with it. he's going to get the record. Clearly, I think it's affecting his game. So the
Mhm.
sooner he gets it, the better for that team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's Monday, man. We've got a lot of games here. 9-game slate. So it seems like we've got some good angles here. We are the early bird that try to get the worm, man. We're going to do that for you today. Our first game up, man, is the Heat and the Cavaliers. Right now, the Heat is coming in as a decimated team, and the Cavaliers are looking damn good. And who is this Cleveland Cavalier team? Heat right now is +5. Last night, man, this was at 4.5. It was at 4.5 last night, and that line went up substantially. I saw it last night at minus, or excuse me, not minus, the total at 206, and that's got steamed up to 3 points. Now, looking at the injury reports now, you've got Bam, of course, Jimmy, Caleb, Markeith. These guys are out, so you're still dealing with the decimated Miami team. And besides the young bull who's been out for Cleveland, Cleveland just won't stop. So who do you like in this game as far as players or any sides that you're looking at now?
Yeah, man. I think we got Cleveland here just kind of going against the grain here for the NBA. They're running this big lineup. They're playing good defense. Obviously, they can score. They've got these big guys that are talented with the ball. I think Cleveland's a tough spot right now, man. I wouldn't want to be going into Cleveland. And as far as on a fantasy perspective, I mean, the only player even worth looking at for Miami is going to be Deadman, probably down here at about 4,500 or 5,000 tonight. And usually I'd say he's a smash spot without Bam, but this front court of Cleveland he's going against is no joke, man. So if I was going to play anybody in this game, it'd be Dwayne Dedman. But I'm really, with the 9-game slate, you're looking for games to fade. This is probably going to be one of them. I think this is a tough game, slow pace, and I think Cleveland probably ends up getting it done.
Yeah. So the funny thing is this game is going to Cleveland, right? Looking at some of my notes I made, Miami's a pretty good team. Now, they themselves right now have lost. Shucks, looking at their last 3 games, I mean, they beat Chicago, Milwaukee, and lost to Memphis, and the kind of tear Memphis is on. But they're pretty much decimated, and they're doing this, winning, that is. In the last 10, they're pretty even. They've lost 4 of 10. So they've won 6 games. You haven't had Morris on the court for some time. You're losing depth. But what I do like about this is one of these games to where I talk about blindly betting, right? And that's Cleveland first quarter and first half. I'm going to tell you I'm staying off this game. And the reason why, Corey, is because I like it when Cleveland's the dog to cover the points, right? Not lay the points. And I do believe Cleveland right now, number 1 in first quarter points. First quarter ATS, or they're ranked number 1 in the last 3 at 33 points in the first quarter. Miami is playing about 29 points. I'm really leaning toward Miami here. Even with the team being decimated, I'm still leaning Miami. So it would be kind of surprising if I get there with Miami to go against this steamrolling of a train that, Cleveland has had is covering first half and covering first quarter spreads. But if you look at it, they're generally dogs. They're generally dogs here. So to see Cleveland as the favorite, it's crazy to me. So I circled in my own little column here, Miami first half. Ooh, I just got can you hear me there, Corey?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Video's just
My
delayed
video
here.
just went out. Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you have morning madness here. Go ahead, take it away with as far as, are you looking at any looks on the Cleveland side as far as players or taking anybody?
Nah, Cleveland's pretty stacked, and for everything that Miami's banged up, and they're not as good of a defensive team here without Jimmy Butler, but Cleveland's balanced, man. Not one guy kind of gets the usage. Jared Allen, Garland, Mobley, Rubio, Markkanen, and they just load up on their starting unit. So I got no interest in this game, really. I'm going to try and, avoid it completely. If I need a $5,000 center, it'll be Dwayne Dedman. But I think there's a couple guys later in the night, depending on some injuries, that we could go to and just kind of completely fade this game altogether.
All right, we're back in action. Just a matter of time here. I'm telling you, it's life on a Monday. It looks like that our production is having a case of the Mondays. Let's go into the next game. That is the Sacramento. Give me 1 second while I load up that line. And we're dealing right now with Sacramento Kings with the Z plus 4.5. And the total being 220.5. Tell me what, or do you like anyone in this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think good game environment here, man. I also think we're going to have both these teams playing small ball, with Precious Achua and Kem Birch going to be out here for Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
I think Toronto is going to be more than game to just play small ball here with Sacramento, which I think brings Terrence Davis back into the starting lineup for the Kings. And at $4,100, I mean, this guy is an absolute stud when he gets to start and gets the minutes. Last game was his only bad game in the last 5, and it's because they had to match that jumbo lineup of Cleveland over there. Outside of that, though, I mean, the guy is a stud on their small ball lineup. So Terrence Davis is a core play for me tonight. He's a must play. And then, Toronto's tough to figure out, man. Fred VanVleet has his nights. Scotty Barnes is pretty consistent, but there's not much I really want to touch on that Toronto side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a Gary Trent Jr. because he's pretty properly priced there at 6,000. But for the most part, though, Terrence Davis is going to be a must play tonight.
Yeah, this is, just looking at what we're on a Kings back-to-back, right? They got smacked by Cleveland, got smacked by Charlotte, right? A lot of their games, in my opinion, the first half was the look, but now that they're on this losing streak, I don't even want to touch them either, especially being on a back-to-back. You don't have Richaun Holmes in, who I really like as a big. So this is one of those games to where I don't want any action on whatsoever. It's a lot of players out, and have continued to be out.
I don't think they're off a back-to-back, though, the Kings.
They played the 11th. I'm sorry. Yep.
Yeah, we're
correcting on that. They played the 11th. It's going to be a break for them because they do play on the 15th. So yeah. So this would be what, 3 games and 4 nights? Is that what that is here?
Yeah, 3 and 4.
This is their third game, 3rd and 4. Sorry about that. So yeah, it's not a back-to-back. Toronto is coming off the rest and they also have a little break. It is going to be the beginning of their back-to-back. So it looks like it should be a Toronto spot. I don't want any any smoke in this game whatsoever. It's when you lose those last 2 games, it seems like that losing streak is going to continue here. Toronto, they beat New York. We know what's going on with Toronto, or we know what's going on with New York. So that should be obvious. They barely beat them 90-87. OKC, they lost to. They beat Washington. They beat Milwaukee, lost to Memphis. So these are games that I feel that this type of game should be in Toronto's favor. I was looking yesterday. That line was actually Toronto -5. Toronto -5, 220. It has now moved up a hook. My line that I'd set for this had it at Toronto by 2.9. So it's kind of not really funny, but I could see how money has come to the Kings side. They don't think that Toronto's going to even cover that 5. So this is not a game I want any action in whatsoever. You said no players on the Toronto side and just you one player on the Sacramento Kings side, right?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. It's a good game environment, but everyone's priced accordingly. So yeah, I got Terrence Davis, and that's about it in that game.
Okay. All right. Moving on to the next game, Golden State, man. We have Golden State at the Indiana Pacers. We know what's going on with the Pacers. Golden State right now is -4 with the over-under being 213.5. We saw what Golden State tried to do with Steph Curry, trying to go for this record against Philly. They wound up losing that game. You saw Doc Rivers doubling him every time he was on the ball. I'm assuming Pacers are going to do the same thing. This line right now, I had that at Golden State minus 3.5 at 213.5 last night. I have this Golden State by -8 as far as my number. No injured players out besides Andre Iguodala for this game here. You still got a lot of people out. You've got Turner out, I believe. Let me look at the official injury report for this. Yeah. So right now, Pacers, you got Holiday who's questionable and Brad Wanamaker who's questionable. Everybody else who's been out is out. Who do you like in this game? Any players or any sides?
I'm not going to be touching Golden State until Curry breaks this record, man, because
Yeah.
even though he has an opportunity to go off, I mean, I think his head's just not there. He's not having great games. So I got no interest in Golden State tonight. And then with Indiana, man, I mean, the whole Miles Turner drama, they're a balanced team. Yeah, I mean, probably this game's a fade for me, man. I'd like to see Curry get it done, Golden State get it done here, but I got no action in this game. I'm going to just avoid this one.
Yeah, to see that money is going in on the Golden State. I mean, I don't think Golden State's going to lose 2 games in a row. Right? So he breaks that record. So from here, he goes to play New York. That's where I was talking to. I was talking to some relatives last night about Golden State. I think he breaks it at the Garden. I really do. So if there's a time to watch him and watch him close, I think he's going to break it at the Garden. Now, Tibbs is going to come out with all firing on all cylinders, trying to hold him to the record. I don't think he's going to break it in Indy. I just don't think so. I don't think that's happening. So, yep, this game also is a pass for me right now. I would totally agree with that logic. You probably don't even want to play Golden State until Steph breaks his record, right? Let him break the record, and then let's get back to business. But they play December 14th at the Garden. That's probably going to be a game that I believe he gets right. So, yeah, it's a no play for me right now. It looks like a lot of advantage is on Golden State. I'm off this game. I don't have any play. It's just probably a fun game to watch. All right, man. Next game we've got going is Houston Rockets at Atlanta Hawks. This is just a disrespectful number. We've got the Hawks at 11.5 now, and the total being 226. I had saw something really funny about this game, or about the Houston Rockets. I was looking at their large spreads, Corey. For whatever reason, they're hitting their large spreads. Now, they went on this tear. Now they've lost 2 back-to-back games. They lost to Milwaukee, but they did win the spread, right? They won it by a hook. And then they lost to Memphis. They won that one by a hook. Or I'm sorry, they didn't win it by a hook. They won it by 1. Check this out. Brooklyn spread 13.5 covered. New Orleans spread 12.5 covered. OKC spread 10.5 covered. Chicago spread 14.5 and covered. Something tells me, even though they're losing these games, that they're going to still cover this spread. But I'm afraid to go back to the well with the Houston Rockets because they are still a bad team. And we've talked about bad teams. You don't want to get in the habit of betting on bad teams. It looks like they kind of fizzed out. They had a 7-game win streak going on, I believe. And it just seems like now it's kind of fizzed out a little bit. You don't have Daniel House there. As far as your injuries for this game, looking at that lineup, I know Daniel House was ruled out, I believe. But yeah, you still have the same people out. KPJ is definitely out. Jalen Green is definitely out. And then now Daniel House has an illness here. So it's amazing that they're covering these large spreads, but that was also when they were on their win streak. However, the 2 games that they did lose, they cover those spreads as well. Do you think Houston is going to cover the spread with it being so large? And are you looking at any players or sides for this game?
Yeah, I don't know if they cover without Kevin Porter Jr. here. I also think Atlanta's a really tough matchup for them. Player wise, though, I do think there's value in this game, and you're really just kind of hoping it stays remotely close. So we can't have a blowout here, but I like Eric Gordon 5,300, and I like Armani Brooks down here at 4,800. With Porter Jr. out, I mean, these guys have picked up the slack. They're both playing 30 plus minutes, and they've been getting it done. So you're getting massive value here at the guard position for Houston.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of things, I just don't think they got anybody to stop Capella, man. I think $7,800 is disrespectful for this guy. He's been on a tear lately. And yeah, I mean, for as good as Christian Wood is, he's not this dominating presence in the middle that's going to be stopping these lobs. So I think Capella is a great spot here tonight for Atlanta.
Yeah.
With that being said, though, you do have serious blowout risk implied in that game. So something to keep an eye on. It's a little risky, but if you think this does stay within that spread, those guys are probably going to go off tonight.
Yeah, it's. I mean, right now, I'm going to get my volume and everything taken care of here. You might have a little echo on your. Do you hear an echo on your end?
No, you're good.
Okay, sorry about that. Looks like I'm definitely having a case of the Mondays here. Just lost the battery on my camera, so I'm going to go with the good old Mac camera here. Sorry about that. But yeah, until I've kind of been on and off Atlanta, but to be honest with you, I haven't really bet Atlanta this much at all this year. And now that you've got so many people out, it's on Atlanta side. I don't really want to play them until they kind of get it together. So yeah, I don't have an angle or side here as well. It's something that I'll probably look at later. If I see money going towards Atlanta, I am definitely going to probably jump on the Houston Rockets because they are covering spreads for what it's worth. They are definitely covering spreads. All right, next game we have Bucks and Celtics. Right now we've got that line at Boston Celtics minus 1.5. The total for that is 217.5. I was writing some notes about this game. The first thing I said is this game feels trappy. Right. I said it feels trappy. It's a short line that possibly works to Milwaukee's favor. I think, and the reason why I say Milwaukee is because, or you would think that people are going to overthink this game. Another game that kind of works for two sides, and that is they're going to either overthink it, right? And they're just going to probably jump on Boston because they feel the line is too short and maybe someone's going to sit here, or they're going to automatically go to Milwaukee because the line is short itself. I was looking at the injury report for this one as well. You got Marcus Smart, who's probable here, right? And then I know you got Jaylen Brown, who's going to come in. And then there's no one as of the 4:30 Eastern report, no one injured for Milwaukee. Do you think this is going to be a game? And I see that money is coming toward Milwaukee because it's now at a 1. But do you think this is a game that, first off, if anything, that Milwaukee sits the Freak here because you do have a long break? They don't play again until the 15th. This is a back-to-back for the Freak. Do you think they might just sit him here? That's why that line is short?
I don't see why you would. I mean, honestly, the guy played 32 minutes last night. And you got the long break coming up. Why not just – this is a big game, not necessarily for, implications, but just go into Boston, get it done, and then rest the guy. I don't see any reason to sit him here. I will say, though, for fantasy purposes, this game is just a good game to watch. I have no interest in anybody here. Unless somebody gets ruled out, that'll open up, obviously, some value. But if everybody's a go and we got Jaylen Brown going on the Boston side, takes the value out of all those guards. So, yeah, I'm interested in watching this game. I don't want any action on it. I will be curious, though. I think it only starts 30 minutes after tip tonight, so we should have the starting lineups before we finalize anything here for DFS. But if everybody's healthy, everybody's a go, I'm just going to enjoy this game as a fan.
Yeah. Well, who are you rooting for here?
I'd like to see Milwaukee get it done. I'm not a huge Boston guy.
Good, good. You know, we have now become best friends because man, I've never been a Boston guy, man. If you're a Laker fan, you know you're supposed to hate Boston with all your heart and soul. You hate Boston. All right, man. Next game we've got is the Philadelphia 76ers at the Memphis Grizzlies. This line right now is Grizzlies +3. It's been that line. Last night it was 2.5. At 210.5, and now it's +3 at 209.5. I saw some 210s for the total in some areas or some books as well. You just played a great game against Golden State 2 nights ago. You know,
2 nights ago.
Memphis is home dogs, obviously, because now you're not playing with Steven Adams, possibly, right? I believe it's Steven Adams and Jaren Jackson Jr. You don't have any bigs for Memphis who's going to go up. I mean, even if you had your starters in there, no one's going to stop Embiid, right? But this is another game I wonder if that Doc just gives Embiid the break here and he probably is a late scratch, which will kind of even out the game. But for right now, I know you don't have any bigs for Memphis that's going to play this game or any meaningful bigs. So looking at this game here, I thought maybe because of the game that Embiid played against Golden State, I mean, they held him down pretty nicely there. You had really good defense by Matisse on Steph Curry. You had Andre Drummond, who actually came alive that last game. I wonder if you give Embiid kind of a break here to give him a long break to set him up for the game on the 15th against Miami. So Memphis is quietly steamrolling through teams. Looking at their record, they actually have a better record than Philly. They're 16-11 to Philly's 15-12. So I was looking also at their win streak. They're another team that they've won the last 5. They've only lost one game. In the last 10, they've only lost 3. And so this is without Ja in these games as well. So they're doing pretty good. But now you don't have Steven Adams. And I just want to confirm that he is doubtful. Yeah. So Steven Adams is doubtful. And then Jaren Jackson Jr. is questionable. You may have Dylan Brooks isn't on the injury report, so he's back in action. He's been back in action. But I don't have a play on this game. I was surprised that Memphis are home dogs as well as they've been playing. But also at the same time, because there's no Jaren Jackson possibly, and because there's no Steven Adams, then maybe that does set up Philly to either play Embiid or not play him as much. What do you think about this game? I don't have a side here.
Yeah, I really need to see this injury report because if Jaren Jackson Jr. is out, I think Philadelphia absolutely dominates them inside, man. Philly's a big team to begin with. If you take the last remaining piece out of that front court there for Memphis, I mean, Tobias Harris is going to crush the boards.
Yeah.
I have a hard time playing Embiid tonight. I just don't think this game has the pace of play that you need to get his value up there. But I do think he, from a actual NBA game standpoint, dominates this game. I don't think they'll rest him. Just like you said, Memphis is kind of hot right now. Philly would definitely want to just get this win. If Jaren Jackson Jr. is out, I think there's lots of value placed here on Memphis, though. Dylan Brooks becomes a monster play there at 6,200. He's going to take so much usage. You got Tyus Jones, Desmond Bane. A lot of those guys will really find their role here without Triple J. If Jaren Jackson Jr. is in, though, I just don't have that much interest in this game. Trying to maybe a guard or something here. Maybe Desmond Bane at 6,600 is a good play, but for the most part, though, we're waiting on the injury report there, and it doesn't start till 5 p.m. Central or West Coast time. So we might have to wait and have some pivots ready there last minute, depending on that injury.
Yeah. Now I'll just throw it out there. The disadvantage, especially with NBA with us, Corey, is that we know how tricky these injury reports can be, right? We have so many late game time scratches, right? You have scratches coming off right before tip off that it completely defeats the purpose of trying to get to any games early. Right. But at least what we can do is provide some type of balance, maybe at least bring some type of awareness to these games and, potentially looking out for people who could either be in or out. And this one here, Jared Jackson is questionable. Steven Adams is doubtful. And this is a -3 to Philly. Memphis being home dogs with the body of work that they've been doing without Ja. That kind of tells me that maybe Jaren won't get there, right? And if Jaren won't get there, then Doc, being the players coach that he is, I wouldn't be surprised if you just didn't have that many minutes out of Embiid, or you play him to the ground and just let him take this long rest. You don't have to with Andre Drummond there. Obviously, you don't have to do all that. So maybe you just don't have as many minutes from Joel, especially beating Golden State, like I said a couple nights before. So we will see what happens with that, man. I do think there's going to be some trickery happening with this injury report. All right, next game, man. We've got the Hornets at Dallas. Hornets at Dallas. This is another game. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm heavily looking at the over here. I'm heavily looking at the over here. This is at 219.5 now. We did see this, but it's now at 3.5. So money is coming in on Dallas. You do have Terry that's back, but everyone else is still out, right? So you still have your players with illness still out of the game. So for what it's worth, I can see why money is coming in on Dallas still. Right now, the line is at 3.5 in some books, even though we have it at -3 while we were doing the start of the show. So money is quietly coming in on Dallas. No Luka. He's out because of his ankle. Maybe he got tired of being called Fatty McFatty. There is some issues going there as far as I want to say, like, Jason Kidd. I don't know if he's the best coach for Luka, but he does know what he's doing, at least with Kristaps Porzingis. Kristaps Porzingis is coming alive, in my opinion. We were talking about him playing the post, I believe, and it seems like it's been working. It seems like as of late, it's been working. The Hornets have a whole bunch of people out. And like I said, you are getting Terry Rozier back here, but maybe it's just not enough for them to get the job done, with Hornets still being the dog here. But looking at this, 235 or 232.5, Corey, over against Sacramento. 216 against Philly, over. 214 against Philly, over. I'm sorry, the 216 was a push. 225 against ATL, over. 231 against Miami or Milwaukee, over. 225 against Chicago, over. 227 against Houston, over. 226.5 against Minnesota, over. Charlotte, man, for whatever reason, right now, their games are going over. So one of two things are going to happen. If you're saying Charlotte is the dog, then you're also saying that Dallas is going to control this entire pace. And I just don't see it. 219.5 with Terry Rozier coming back a little bit, I could see this game going over. So a heavy lean for me on this game right now is over 219.5. What do you like? Anything in this game as far as players or sides?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on the over. Since they haven't had Plumlee, their defense is just non-existent. And going against Charlotte has just been the sharp move here. I think, from a fantasy perspective, Dallas has been just playing like shit. And I'm hoping that keeps their ownership down, because the smart play here is just to load up on these Dallas guys tonight. For me, I mean, I'm playing Porzingis, I'm playing Brunson, and I'm probably going to throw in either Hardaway Jr. or Dorian Finney-Smith with it. And I'm going to run it back with Rozier on the other side. This game is going to have no defense. It's going to have back-to-back flow. Rozier is just extremely underpriced coming back from this injury, especially considering still no LaMelo Ball. When this guy was putting up numbers with those guys, he's going to have the ball in his hand every play. This is the best game environment on the entire slate. So I got no problem playing 3-4 guys here, even on a 9-game slate here tonight.
That's funny how you're loading up on Dallas here. Now, just so I can get that straight, is it because the Hornets are decimated here, or you just think that this is kind of lopsided, or not necessarily lopsided? This is probably the best team that's going to have the best value for players
Yeah,
here?
so it's a combination. It's one, Charlotte's just the worst defensive team. So we know this game is going to be
High score.
paced out of the norm for Dallas. Charlotte's players are already priced according to those scores that they've been putting up. So you got guys like Kelly Oubre that cost more than Porzingis tonight.
That's crazy.
And
That's
it's just
crazy.
because, yeah, every game Charlotte plays, there's just so many fantasy points. These games are 124 to 123. They're out of control. And so Rozier's the only player that hasn't gotten that spike because he's been out. So Rozier's in play there for Charlotte. And then for Dallas, Dallas's players are priced according to their low scoring games that they've been in lately. But I just don't think that continues here tonight, especially at home for Dallas. And if you're going to get a team in Dallas that's scoring 120 tonight, even 115, something like that, I mean, these values are just way too low. We got Porzingis 8,000, Brunson 5,800, Hardaway Jr. 5,400. These prices were designed for a team that scores 98, 102. So if we're going to get an extra 20 points out of Dallas tonight than their usual, just because of their competition, they're the best value on the slate.
Gotcha. My producer, he hates Washington. So tonight he says we've got the Washington Bullets at the Denver Nuggets. He said the Bullets, a little graph here. Yeah, next game, man. Washington Wizards at the Denver Nuggets. It's so funny, man. That's one team that he really hates are the Washington Wizards. -4.5 going to Denver here. This is another game, Corey. Another game. We at 212.5 now. Will Barton is probable to come back here. I don't know. He's questionable. JaMychal Green did get downgraded here, and then everybody else is out as usual here, per usual here. Again, Corey, this is another lean that I got. Both teams. Washington, 221 push against Utah. Detroit, 210.5 over. Indy, 211.5 over. Toronto, 212.5. That was the only game to go under. But then all their other games have gone over, for the exception of the November 26th game against OKC, 209.5, didn't get there. Denver, all but one game in the last 10 have gone over. So I was kind of trying to understand why this total was so low, but at the same token, the totals for Denver are pretty low. So you're not going to get a fast game here, but it's another game that should go over. San Antonio, 218.5 over. San Antonio on a back-to-back, or home and home if you want to call that, 217 over. At New Orleans, 213.5 over. At Chicago, the only game to go under at 213.5, but you have New York, Orlando, Miami, Milwaukee, Portland, and Phoenix all over. And you're talking about you're going over 215, 212, 205. This is a game that should probably easily both teams go over. Yeah, I shouldn't say easily, but lean on the over. It seems pretty low to me, and why these teams both can't put up 106 apiece, you know, it's one of those games to where I think it can easily happen. Right now, Washington's averaging 105 points a game, 105.5 points a game. That's what they're averaging. Denver is averaging the same 105.5 points a game, right? So why this couldn't hit 212 over easily is baffling to me. So I do have a lean here with the Washington Wizards and the Denver Nuggets total game over 212.5. What do you like here?
Yeah, first off, I didn't even know anybody could hate the Washington Wizards because it's like one of the most irrelevant teams in the NBA. So that's an interesting take there. But yeah, man, I mean, with Kyle Kuzma out, this rotation here for Washington's pretty interesting. They really tightened it up. And, I know he played terrible last game, but guys like KCP are getting a lot of run right now. The problem is, though, I think Denver is just the better team here. And I'm gonna have to I'm going with Jokic. I think he's the best spend up option on the slate tonight, and the guy's been on an absolute tear lately in fantasy. 75 points, 63 points, 72 points, 62 points. He's $12,000, but the guy's just a walking triple double at this point. He scored 39 points, 35 actual points here, 2 out of the last 3 games.
Yeah.
And I think Washington, pushes him. I also think they have 2 slow-footed centers in Gafford, and as much energy as Harrell is there, he's just undersized for Jokic. So Jokic he's my spend up of the day. I think it's a great spot for him. Other than that, though, from a fantasy perspective, there's not much I'm interested in this game. I'll probably end up with one of the small forwards there for Washington, maybe Denny Avdija, KCP, somebody of that nature, just because Kyle Kuzma's out. We're going to get some value down there. But for the most part, though, this is where I'm going to just take my shot on the top guy.
Yeah, so my only lean would be the over here, but I could see a lot of the. What is going on with Rui Hachimura? Do you know?
So
I mean, everything is
I
personal.
think they announced no timetable the last I saw.
Yeah, but what is he mad about?
Oh, I have no idea.
I got to dig into that, man. I have no idea what he's mad about, bro. I have no idea what he's mad about. He just Rui was one of those guys that I thought would kind of be a rising star after everything had leveled out. And, you got rid of Westbrook, you kind of broke up the team and then brought it back together with some set pieces, but I don't know if he wanted to be the star. There was something that I had heard as far as him wanting not more playing time, wanted to be a more, force of the, in the team. I don't know. I don't know. But for whatever reason, man, Rui is just not playing. He's not playing. So you got Daniel Gafford, who I think is actually better than Rui, playing. Yeah, they're different positions, but still, I mean, they're big men. So I have no idea.
I just pulled it up right now. They said he wants to focus on his mental health.
Yeah, but it has something to do with his role in the team.
Yeah,
that's a weird one to me. That's a complete weird one to me. I don't know. It's something that happened in the beginning of the season as far as him wanting to have some type of role, and he's just not there. He's just not there. So I think the mental health is the Ben Simmons effect, really. They just don't. I don't know, man. I don't know. That one I'm trying to get a clear picture of what's going on. And I just don't get it. I don't get it at all. Rui should be out there on the court, and he isn't. All right, man. Last game, we have the Phoenix Suns at the Clippers. Phoenix Suns at the Clippers, man. This line right now is 3.5 at total being 212.5. Looking right now on, and if you just want to know, I use covers. And covers is probably, in my opinion, like one of the worst when it comes to updating their lines. But I use them just because they've got a bevy of information that's there. There are a ton of websites that you can look into to get your information. I'm just a creature of habit, man. So I like covers. Right now, it's still sitting at 3.5. If we look at the line movement on this game, this was at 2.5. This was at 2.5. Early. So it's kind of jumped back and it's jumped down. It's gotten to 3. Now it's at 3.5. I don't care, man. It would be either Suns or nothing for me here. Looking at the injury report here as well, not submitted yet on either side. You still have DeAndre Ayton, who's questionable, but then pretty much everybody else is out, as you know. For the Clipper side, I did see the Nick Batum injury. He's questionable. Paul George is doubtful here, and I don't even at good old Staples Center, if you will, or crypto.com arena. What do you like here? You like any sides here? Are you looking at any players?
No, I wouldn't touch the sides here. I mean, we don't even know what these teams look like with all these guys out. I mean, I don't think Ayton goes tonight. He didn't practice. I'd be shocked if he goes. So I think with that being said, though, on a fantasy perspective, there's going to be plenty of value here with all these guys out. And Javal McGee, I mean, this guy looked like a monster in the last
Yeah.
game. 21 points, 15 rebounds, 2 blocks.
Mm-hmm.
If Ayton doesn't go, and I don't think he goes here, Javal McGee becomes the must play of the night at $4,000. The problem is you're not going to find that out until well after most of these games have started. So you need to have a pivot within the same game there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think there is a couple here, depends how much money you want to leave yourself. But, guys like Mann, Cameron Johnson, you're going to have to leave a couple $100 on the table, but you can get up to a guy like that and be just fine. And then with Paul George not playing, I mean, Reggie Jackson and Luke Kennard absolutely just get all the usage there. The ball is just constantly in their hands. And Luke Kennard, I mean, he played a great game last game. I know he shot really well, hit 7 threes, but I mean, this guy played 36 minutes in Paul George's absence, and that was in a pretty low scoring game there with Orlando. Yeah, I mean, I think with all these guys out, I mean, I could care less who wins this game, but there's definitely some value. I also think with Booker and Ayton off the court, Chris Paul is, a stud here, 8,300. So last game of the night, you're going to want some action here. I would lean Javal McGee and then maybe one of those other guys. But like I said, without that injury report and it's the last game, make sure you definitely have some pivot moves there to kind of cover yourself.
What do you think about Cam Payne? I know he went off last game. He put up like 17, and I believe Cam Johnson and Jay Crowder combined for like 16. But what do you think about Cam Payne? I mean, I would think he's kind of under the radar a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he had that one game, but he only played 22 minutes. It was in a blowout run. Standard, I mean, he's playing 17 to 20 minutes. The guy scores like 18 fantasy points. I just don't think he has a big enough role, and I don't think Chris Paul is going to see enough minutes for that guy to really make an impact. Obviously, on any given night, if this is a blowout, he's going to get more run than normal, but I think those numbers are skewed. I'm hoping these other, the casual DFS guys see that number and kind of put the ownership over to him because I don't think he can repeat it.
Gotcha. Yeah, it was maybe those were just garbage points. I don't know. I've never been really a Cam Payne fan, but I mean, the guy's a grinder. He's a workhorse. He was almost out of the league, right? And so he actually was for a quick second and, got his second chance. So I do like the hustle. So right now, man, yeah, I've got 2 leans and a really, really strong side on Miami first half. That I just honestly feel that they can do some things to Cleveland, even being decimated. And they have been doing this already. I mean, they did it to Milwaukee. So I do like Cleveland as a dog on that really soon here. So maybe after we get off the show, I'll probably step on that. And then my other leans are going to be Nuggets and Wizards first halves, or total over. I'm sorry about that. And the Hornets and looks like yeah. I'm gonna probably get there. I'm gonna go with the Hornets and the Mavs. The total over on that game as well. So those are 2 lanes for me. Haven't gotten there yet. It's very, very early. So it's one of those things to where you can't make any guaranteed picks. I wouldn't. If you haven't taken them last night, in my opinion, Corey, you probably need to wait just for at least shoot around and some other news. So the Miami first half is what I'm really, really serious on. And then the Hornets and Mavs and the Washington Wizards and the Nuggets, both those games going over. Any of your plays that you're locking in or that you like right now before we get out of here?
Yeah, I mean, for DFS real quick, I mean, the Joker's locked in for me at 12,000. I'm not waiting on any news there. I think Terrence Davis is locked in for me as a cheap player for Sacramento. And then I'm playing that Charlotte-Dallas game. regardless of who's in, who's out. I'm going to have 3 or 4 players in that game. So I don't actually start building my lineups till about 3 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of news, but as far as just a core base, that's where I'm starting with, and I'll build off of that and post it up on the Twitter for everyone as we go.
Or on the Twitter. That's how we do it, man. Oh, my bad. That's how we do it. That is how we do it. Getting in the green with perfect strangers. It is your boy. It's Daryl. You can find me on the Twitter. You can find me on the Twitter. Corey, where can they find you on the Twitter as well?
We're at Green Getting, and that's our goal tonight. Let's get back in the green.
Absolutely. So we will be back on the show tomorrow. So it looks like we're definitely going to go Monday through Friday here. Looks like my technical difficulties didn't have me looking too sexy this morning, but we are going to do it again, man. Yes, we will be sending the plays out later on in the day after injury reports are final and when we get closer to game time. And we hope that you get in the green with us. Until tomorrow, y'all have a great rest of the day. Make sure you get that paper.